for a lot of people, it is unwieldy and difficult. But for a lot of people, it's actually really life-changing and really life-affirming. And for a lot of us, it's enabled us to live independently in the community, to get jobs, to participate in the economy. And we, now that there's a new government, I'd love us to focus on how we can get the NDIS to be all the things that we all wanted it to be back in 2012 when it first started.
But George, there's also a perception that the NDIS can be difficult to navigate for some, and there have been several cases where it doesn't meet the needs of those that the system is supposed to help.
It is a bureaucracy. No, that's clear. It's a very large bureaucracy that a lot of people have found has taken a lot of time in terms of decision making. Decisions are often made without adequate explanation. We've got thousands of people who are stuck in hospital, thousands who are stuck in residential aged care, and obviously that is really, really serious, and that's not what we asked for, right? We asked for a system that was simple, fair, and that would enable us to be in control of our lives.
When you say fair, explain to us what you mean by that.
Fair means that your funding and the support that you receive reflects your needs and not your ability to navigate a bureaucracy. That's what fair means.
Now, George, Bill Shorten has been widely tipped to take on the portfolio overlooking the NDIS, and he was the shadow minister since 2019. If, George, you could have his ear, what would you say to him about what needs to be done to improve the system?
I'd just say, Bill, you're a good man. You understand the NDIS. He invented the NDIS. We wouldn't have the NDIS if it wasn't for Bill Shorten. He gets it. However, moving forward, we need the government and we need the agency to listen to disabled people, listen to the problems that we're having with the scheme, and work with us to come up with solutions.
Now, there have been criticism lobbied at the NDIS saying that it costs too much, that it was bleeding money, and that's the reason for the review of the system, and that's how we came to the reforms that were implemented. Was that a fair assessment of the system?
I think that the NDIS is an investment in people. It considers that every dollar spent on the NDIS, you get over $2 back in the economy. And so if we end up spending more, that can be actually really good for the economy. And I don't agree with people who say that we're spending too much.
Just on another issue, George, you wrote an op-ed for The Guardian in which you applauded Australian of the Year Dylan Alcott for saying that he loves his disability. But you say that's not the case for all Australians living with a disability. Explain to us what you meant.
Look, I think it's fantastic that we have an Australian with a disability as our Australian of the Year. And I wanted to use the opportunity to say not all of us are the same. We're diverse. Our experience of disability is very individual. And I love that Dylan loves his disability. But for some of us, disability is actually quite challenging. And living in a society where you have a disability cannot necessarily be something that you wake up to and say, oh, I love my disability. I don't feel that way. And I know not everyone else does too.
But at the same time, you make the point that you may not like living with your disability, but that doesn't mean that you hate your life.
Oh, I love my life. I just don't love my disability. And I think that you can do both, right?